Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about, well, why is it that you want to move to Mexico? Now, again, things have changed over the years. I have been out here in Mexico over 7.5, almost 8 years already, and things have changed dramatically as to when people wanted to move out here originally, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and today. Again, the things have changed dramatically. Things are, obviously, things are more expensive. The world is falling apart. There's a lot of reasons as to why you might want to get out of where you're at right now. But do you still want to move to Mexico? Again, why is it you want to move to Mexico? So in today's video, I'm actually going to be, riding my bike around, and we're going to be talking about, well, my own personal story as to, well, why I moved to Mexico and why I stay out here in Mexico. And I'm going to be staying out here in Mexico for the foreseeable future. Why would I leave? I love Mexico. All right. And I think a lot of you guys are also in that same boat. So again, guys, today you already know what we're going to do. We're going to get back on the bike. All right. And we're going to take a ride through the city because I actually got to run a few errands today. I'm going to get coffee and I got to, go to the store and pick up a few items for me and the wife in the house. So I figured, let me grab the camera, let me take you guys with me, and let's just talk about why you still want to move to Mexico. All right, guys, let's rock and roll. So, guys, why is it that you guys want to move to Mexico? I know for a lot of you guys, the main reason why you're thinking about moving out here is simply because you want to save a few bucks. You're looking for, a lower cost of living. And sure, that is still like a main reason why a lot of people are moving out here to Mexico. Let's not, just skip over that. That's a reality. The reality is that for a lot of people, they're moving to Mexico because they simply want, a more affordable lifestyle. But at this point, things are also getting expensive out here. I've been talking about it for a while. Others have talked about it for a while. Things are getting a little bit more expensive out here in Mexico. And for some, the whole value of living out here has kind of like gone to the wayside. And, again, that's why you got to start asking yourself, really, why is it you're moving to Mexico? Why is it you want to live in Mexico? What is the reason? There are tons of amazing reasons. But again, what are your reasons? What's the exact reason why you're interested in moving to Mexico? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Because again, when I first moved out here many, many years ago, again, over 7.5 years ago, almost 8 years ago now, but let's just say 7.5, right? Ever since I moved out here, things have, gotten a lot more expensive. But when I first moved here, the main reason I moved out here was because, again, I was just trying to get out of my really horrible situation in the USA. And on top of that, I was looking for a lower cost of living. And so I figured, hey, Mexico might be the best choice for me. Now, the reason I'm even making this video to begin with, I'm talking about this topic, is because, I was talking to a good friend of mine, another American that lives out here. And, we were just talking about the fact that, how lucky we are to be living out here and have an established life out here. And of course, all the work and effort and sacrifice that it took for us to get to this point. Because again, just even thinking about returning to the USA for whatever reason is, that's scarier than any, horror movie out there these days. Just even, having to even think about that, to have to return to the USA for whatever reason. And so, at least for us, we have our lives out here. We have our Mexican dream is alive and well, and life is amazing. And, the other day I was watching some sort of documentary. They were talking about, believe it or not, of all people, Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, all that stuff. And, he, basically, long story short, Jimmy Buffett basically personified the whole idea of people that are allergic to 9-to-5s, people that are allergic to that lifestyle, to that work lifestyle, And as I was watching that and listening to that, because again, for some of you guys that don't know, I'm a native Floridian. I was born and raised in Miami, but I also spent some of my youth living in the Florida Keys, AKA, Jimmy Buffett's home grounds. Again, not just Jimmy Buffett, but other people such as Hemingway and so on and so forth. So, I come from just a different background. Not only is it my Hispanic background, but I'm a like old school Florida background, meaning, the life that I'm living right now is the life that I've always wanted to live. And I tried to emulate that or figure out a way to live this life out in the USA, and I just never could. And as the years went on, well, eventually I just gave up on that. And I decided that, well, I guess I have no choice but to live like everybody else. And it was just terrible. I mean, I was never enjoying any of it. I've talked about it in depth in many of my videos. But again, in today's video, the reality is that as I've been living here, as time has gone on, and again, I'm enjoying my life more and more each and every day, I've realized this many years ago when I first moved out here, that I am living the life. Again, why, the main reason why I moved to Mexico to begin with, again, I was escaping my horrible situation and I was just looking for a better quality of life, and I was also looking for a more affordable life. It's as simple as that. But the reality is that once I finally got here, things just turned into something else. Basically, everything that I've always wanted, dreamed of, desired for my life was out here. It's basically, a lot of it has to do with the flow of life, just the vibe, just the way life is lived on a day-to-day basis. And this is why for some Americans or some people that move out here, they just, they never ever figure that out. They never get that vibe. They never are able to live like I live, or my friend lives, or other people live out here, or other Mexicans live out here, because their culture, your culture might be so far away from the culture out here that you're just never ever going to be able to meet eye to eye. You're just never going to really be able to understand or enjoy, how life is lived out here. I mean, again, at the end of the day, let's not forget, you guys already know my background, but I'm American. I was born and raised in the USA, and we're all addicted to many things, but one of the things I'm addicted to is work. I'm a workaholic, and I used to hate the fact that when I used to work for other people, and again, being a workaholic and just wasting away for other people, and wasting away for businesses, and just making millions and making all kinds of money for so many restaurants and so many employers out there. And it was always, at the end of the day, it was all for naught. I never got to see any of the success, really, that it was always helped build, throughout the years while I was doing what I did. And so, for me, it wasn't until I started to, work for myself. I had my own business, all kinds of things like that. And then that's eventually when I got really a taste of freedom, and I got a taste of what life could be like. Because again, I don't know if you guys know this, but the whole idea of like a small business owner or someone that works for themselves is that you're always dreaming of leaving that 9 to 5 just so that you can work 9 to 9, or you can work even more hours, or work even or dedicate even more time to your own personal endeavors. And that's why I work so much, because again, I love to work, but on things that I'm going to see some fruition out of. Some things that I'm going to be able to get something out of. And so out here, that is something that many people can do. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Out here, there's a lot more room to rise up. There's a lot more room there's a lot of traffic up ahead, because I got to go through there. I guess it's because they're letting school out. This is a Friday afternoon, and the kids are getting out of school right now. So, at least I'll make for some good content. Got some traffic all up in here. At least, thank God I'm on the bike. But anyways, and so, for me, again, just like a lot of people, you might have an original reason as to why you're moving out here, and a lot of it might stem from simply lower cost of living, but eventually, you know, it's the lower cost of living can only take you so far, because again, as Mexico, for example, keeps getting more and more expensive, is it still worth it to live out here? Oh, of course, hell's to the yeah. It's not. I'm not even thinking about it. You know, of course, it's beyond, you know, livable out here. In fact, you know, I'm so happy I'm living out here. You know, the reason I'm also bringing up the food, I'm sorry, the reason I'm also bringing up the cost of living is because the other day I was at my local taco shop, you know, right by my house. And, you know, I ordered 4 tacos and I ordered 2 sandwiches, you know, basically all the same taco ingredients, but inside a sandwich. It's called a torta. So anyways, I ordered 2 of those and 4 tacos, and it came out to 160 pesos, which is roughly 8 or 9 US dollars. And I mean, again, just talking to my wife, my Mexican wife that was born and raised out here, you know, she knows, she sees how expensive, you know, how expensive, all right, let's see, let's cross, right? How expensive things have gotten. Because back in the day, again, back when I moved here, you know, those same 4 tacos and 2 tortas, you know, probably was half the price. You know, I would say 80 pesos. So it would be like $4 maybe 5, give or take, right? But that goes to show you again how expensive it has gotten. But at the same time, think about it. I was able to eat, you know, a full meal, all right? Because, you know, basically I only eat 1 meal a day, all right? And I'm, you know, again, I'm a big guy. I eat a lot. I'm always hungry. So, you know, long story short, that was more than enough to get me full. I'm always too full. I eat too much. But long story short, you know, I was able to eat, okay? I was able to survive, you know, with a good meal for around that price. Now, obviously, you know, obviously if I cook for myself, you know, I can have a better quality meal, better quality food for either the same price or more affordable. But when I see the prices, for example, of what you guys are paying for meat, what you guys are paying for, you know, just everyday items over there in the USA, well then, you know, of course, I don't complain anymore, because I totally understand that, you know, there's inflation going on all around the world. And, you know, certain things are luxuries, you know, like what I'm about to go pick up right now. I'm literally on my way to go get some coffee, you know, just get a luxury. It's as simple as that. I don't need to have coffee. I just want my coffee. And I not only do I want my coffee, but I want really good coffee. So I go out of my way to come out here to the center of the city, come to a gentrified coffee place, Café Riqueza, which is amazing. It's awesome. And shout out to them. I'm always giving them a shout out because I love their coffee and I love, you know, the people there. You know, amazing place, highly recommended. But anyways, with that being said, that's one of my luxuries. You know, we all have little luxuries here and there. And so for some people, you know, out there living the American dream, they don't know how to cut back on certain luxuries. They don't know how to cut back on certain things out there in order for them to get what they always wanted, which is, you know, that, you know, more freedom and just a better life. Sometimes you got to make those sacrifices. And for a lot of people out there, you know, they're in for that rude awakening because they never had to do anything like that before. And, you know, when people are thinking, hey, I'm going to move to Mexico, well, they're thinking that they don't have to give up anything. But that's not the truth. You know, you do, especially these days. Again, it's totally worth it. You know, I'm still happily surviving and living my best life out here. But it definitely, you know, things have definitely changed. At least for me, things have changed for the better. But I know for a fact that I can't really say that for everyone out there in the audience. All right, okay. So we just made it to the coffee shop. So stop number 1. Okay, we're at stop number 1. Let's go on ahead and get our coffee. All right, let me show you exactly where we are, because I know some of you guys might still not know exactly where we are. But again, you know, Café Riqueza, highly recommended. All right, so time to get my coffee, get errand number one underway, and then, you know, we're off on the bike again, continuing our conversation and continuing our adventure. All right, I'll see you guys in a few seconds. All right, now we got our coffee in tow. Time to head back on the road and continue our adventure. So again, guys, another reason, one of the main reasons why I really live out here, and I'm always going to be living out here, is because it's just a pace of life, man. Again, I'm out here on a Friday afternoon. You see many Mexicans, many people living their normal day-to-day lives, but yet, again, it's not as suffocating of a lifestyle as it would be back home in the USA or Canada or anything like that. Because again, not everybody that I know out here lives my lifestyle. Only a few people. The majority of the people that I know out here, again, are Mexicans, all right? Because that's who I interact with. You guys know me by now. I'm not really out there, interacting in the expat groups or things like that. So again, the typical Mexican out here, well, they got to work, they got to live their life, they got to do their thing. But yet, even though, again, it's already statistically proven, over and over again that the Mexican people and Mexico, they're some of the hardest working people on the planet, if not the hardest working. All right, I saw like some stat the other day, and I was surprised by how far ahead Mexico is from every other country when it comes to the whole idea of working. So again, even they beat out Japan, they beat out everybody out there. Let's just go, just breaking the law. But anyways, I can do that on a bicycle. All right, so it is what it is. But anyways, but yeah, the majority of people, they got to work, they got to do their thing. But with all that being said, all right, we're just gonna barrel right through this. All right, so but the majority of people at the end of the day, they have plenty of time, to take work breaks, plenty of time to enjoy festivities after work with their friends, with family. Again, out here, they party very, very hard. They love to celebrate things. They love to party. They love to live life, enjoy life. All right, I'm just gonna get on the sidewalk here. Whatever, man. Too much traffic. Look at that. That's terrible. By the way, guys, I don't know if you guys have noticed, probably not, but this is the first real bike ride that I've taken ever since I had my major accident. I don't know if you guys remember, still recovering from that. The bike is definitely still recovering from that. I got to take it to the bike shop. It's been almost a month and I haven't even done that. But anyways, I'm going a little bit more gingerly and just trying to avoid traffic and avoid all, certain things out there as much as I can, as difficult as it might seem to be. But anyways, but that's the thing, out here, it doesn't matter who you are, what your lifestyle is. Again, I got, Christians friends, they all have regular jobs. They still do their art stuff. A lot of people out here, a lot of entrepreneurs. It's just insane to me, you know what I mean? Like how much they work, but at the same time, they always have time. They always find time to dedicate to the important things, like family, like leisure, like, whatever it is, whether it's going to the fair, going to a festival, going to a concert, going to the park with the kids, going to a birthday party, going to many birthday parties. The running joke out here is that, people go to a kid's birthday party, and the kid's birthday party is still like 3 a.m. because, it's really more like an adult party. They're just using the kids as an excuse in a sense. And things like that. So again, and Mexico's changing. One of the things about Mexico that's making it so desirable these days is that it's changing for the better. It's changing. Again, we talked about it many times, when we talk about gentrification, when we talk about, many subjects on the channel. But you guys see it all around you all the time. You guys see the regular neighborhoods, you guys see the nice fancy neighborhoods, and, everyone is enjoying everything. It's funny when I still crack up. I recently did a video, okay? You guys know I do all kinds of videos for the channel, but I recently did a video doing house tours, okay? We were doing home tours like we usually do. But this time around, Jose Novello and his team were like, hey man, we got these amazing properties, fairly expensive. We want to showcase them. We want to show them, yada, 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 is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, man, of course. It doesn't always have to be, affordable housing. There's all kinds of people in the audience. But anyways, so we make the video, I publish it, And yet, I get so many people out in the audience, just complaining, about like, oh, who the hell's living in those? Oh, you're just gringo pricing it. Oh, that's too expensive. That's too, and it's like, listen, guys, listen, I know it might be too expensive for you, all right? But it doesn't mean that it's too expensive for a lot of people out there. And the majority of the people buying these homes, enjoying the gentrification, buying the brand new truck, the brand new car, establishing a brand new business, doing all these things, it's other Mexicans. It's mostly Mexicans, all right? The majority of us that are moving out here, okay, are either still like retired or, some of us have income. Most of us have some sort of income that come from somewhere else. That's the only way they were really gonna survive out here. Again, I make my money from YouTube and other extracurriculars online. Some of you guys are digital nomads. Some of you guys are retired. Some of you guys still have a business that you run in the USA, and so on and so forth. But for most people that are coming out here and they're expecting to get a job out here or start a business out here or whatever it is, and they have nothing to their name, they're in for that rude awakening. Because again, now you're the immigrant and you got to come out here and you got to work hard, just like the Mexicans do. And then good luck on that. Again, they already beat the world and how hard they work. So good luck competing with them. But that's not the point. You know what I mean? I talk about it and encourage it all the time. But the thing is that, of course, there are Americans. Of course, there are Canadians. Of course, there's a bunch of you guys out there in the audience that are hard workers and willing to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to make that Mexican dream happen. And you guys are fully aware of that. But the thing is, again, it's like not everybody is. And so for a lot of people, as the USA, Canada, as the first world deteriorates and keeps falling apart, a lot of people are becoming very bitter and sour, of that fact that now all of a sudden, not only can they not afford to live in the USA anymore, but they can't even afford to live in another country anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's how bad it's gotten. Because again, not only has the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, the whatever, the whatever currency out there fallen in value, but while all that's been going on, the Mexican peso has been relatively pretty stable. Wages are rising up here. I know that in the official numbers that Mexico produces, they don't really show the actual numbers of growth there. But that's because, again, I've talked about it multiple times. The reality is that 70 to 80% of the population, 70 to 80% of the economy out here is of the informal economy. And what is the informal economy? Look, just like that taco truck there, hamburger truck. People just selling stuff on Facebook, people selling stuff on the side of the road, people selling things outside of that digital grid. Obviously not getting taxed, not getting, not getting harassed, and but at the end of the day, a typical Mexican person out there that's making tacos, for example, they're making more than a doctor in many cases. And so, that goes across the board. A plumber or a mechanic or, someone that owns a laundry shop, that does your laundry and all that stuff. And they actually make pretty good money. And but the thing is like, how do they spend that money? That's the thing. That's like the key. And so like most of them spend it on, important things. Not necessarily, getting the nicest house or the nicest car. No, it might just be taking an extended vacation on the beach with the family, and things like that. So it's just like the whole way of life out here. At least for me personally, I am more in tune with the way that people live their life out here. The majority of Mexicans, they as hard as they work, they're also allergic to that 9-to-5 lifestyle, and they do everything humanly possible to live a similar lifestyle like me. In fact, I'm trying to emulate them. All the time. Trying to live a similar life to how they live, and vice versa. But really, that's the thing. It's all about the vibes. It's all about how people, live their lives out here, how people do their thing out here. And, for some people, that's why when they come to Mexico, they have so much trouble fitting in. They have so much trouble living out here. They have so much trouble assimilating, because they just never will. They never, oh man, seems to be a lot of traffic up ahead. Where am I? Yeah, because I mean, are we almost there? I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it's just, I get so distracted as I'm just chatting away, like a little chatty Cathy, that I sometimes forget, where we are. Let me see, maybe there's another path so you can avoid all that traffic. Seems pretty congested there. All right, let's just go through here. There's that. That might be, no, that's a one-way street. We can't go that way. All right, okay, I know where I am. Yeah, sorry, sometimes I get a little lost. But again, look, this is like a Friday afternoon. You see people, doing paint. Look at this, look at that family there, just they planting a little tree, or probably a tree that they planted a little while ago. And, now they're just taking a picture of it, seeing the progress of the tree, all that good stuff. It's amazing, man. It's just like, again, it's a different life, a different lifestyle. It's not for everybody. I totally understand that. All right, let's see if we can get ahead here. I totally understand that. All right, you know what? All right, how do we, maybe I'll follow this bike over here. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like I said, this is all part of the lifestyle right here. And it's just, I mean, I could go on and on. I usually do, but I'm sorry. I'm trying to just stay concentrated on the traffic here for a minute, for a quick second. A lot of traffic here in this little area. So, but anyway, so, that's the thing. The reality is that, like you can live a beautiful and amazing life out here. It's just really going to depend on, what is it that you want out of life? What is it that you're looking out of life more than anything else? And, out here, many people can just live a very humble and frugal lifestyle and literally have one of the most amazing lives and most fulfilling lives possible. But that's not for everybody. I know a lot of people that, like a lot of Mexicans as well, that want to live the American dream, want to live that American lifestyle. And those are the ones that live, in other parts of the city and live in the nicer, fancier parts of the city. The more humble, Mexicans that have, other priorities, they tend to live in, well, basically the same neighborhood where I live, this neighborhood, they're out here doing their thing. And I don't know, to me, it's just like such a beautiful thing. And I just love being able to do this for a living, which is, again, just record these videos, show you guys around where I live, show you guys how I live, and hopefully you guys out there in the audience that are looking for a solution to the problem that is the lifestyle, the life that you guys are living right now. Hopefully I can, shed some more light on what life really is like out here and how life is lived out here. And at the end of the day, it's, again, I've mentioned it multiple times, it's not that different, from your own life. It's just better. It's just better, okay? It's just like how life was 40 years ago in the USA. And now the thing is that you're not a rich expat anymore, for the most part, you're just a, just a regular immigrant, doing their thing out here. And for a lot of people, that's still like a hard pill to swallow. For a lot of people, they just still don't want to, what is it like? They still don't want to swallow that reality pill of what life really is like out here. All right, so we've gotten here. We've gotten to our destination. All right, so anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I know sometimes I'm all over the place, but at the very least, I take you all over the place and I get to show you guys, what life is like out here. And, at the very least, you guys can get something out of it. So anyways, guys, all right, I got my coffee in tow. I got, some other supplies, from another store that I had to go to earlier, health store. And now we're here at the mall. All right, the one that I've been coming to for years now. All right, and we're going to go in there and just grab a few more things. I got to get stuff for dinner and all that good stuff. But again, this is my lifestyle. This is what I live on a Friday. I'm still out here working. I'm still out here doing my thing. There's still a lot of work I have to do when I get home. I'm probably going to be working through the night as other people are, again, coming home from work, coming home from school, and heading into the festivities for the weekend. Again, let's not forget, we're at the end of November now, early December. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but this is the holiday season. And right now, everyone's getting ready for that. And there's this, again, that whole, that happiness in the air, the whole holiday spirit is in the air. And it's just amazing. It's just so fun. In fact, you know, I'm usually a person that always puts up my my Christmas lights as soon as I can. And this year, you know, I just fell behind because, you know, I've been working very hard. I've been doing a lot of stuff this year. And it wasn't until I saw my neighbors actually put up their Christmas lights that I was like, okay, I got to put up my lights now. And I put them up the other day, and that's it. You know, 'tis the season, you know. So, all right, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's, what is it, ride around, you know, grabbing some errands with me. And I really hope that you guys found this video or any other video that I have on the channel useful. Again, guys, please check out the rest of the channel. Please check out my website. I got tons of free information. I got tons of information, not just little videos like this, you know, talking about whatever, but actual real information, better, you know, higher quality videos with a lot more stuff that could be a lot more useful to you than just today's conversation. So, all right, guys, you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please continue to stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.